My name is Brian Worrell, District 4 City Councilor, and I'm the Chair of the Boston City Council Committee on Ways and Means. Today is April 30th, 2024. This hearing is being recorded. It is also being live streamed at boston.gov/city-council-tv and broadcast on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, FiOS Channel 964. The Council's budget review process will encompass a series of public hearings beginning in April and running through June. We strongly encourage residents to take a moment to engage in this process by giving testimony for the record. You can do this several ways. Attend one of our hearings and give public testimony. We will take public testimony at the end of each departmental hearing and also at our next hearing dedicated to public testimony, which will be held on Tuesday, May 22nd at 6 p.m. The full hearing schedule is on our website at boston.gov/council-budget. You can give testimony in person, here in the chamber, or virtually via Zoom. For in-person testimony, please come to the chamber and sign up on the sheet near the entrance. For virtual testimony, you can sign up using our online form on our Council Budget Review website or by emailing the committee at ccc.wm@boston.gov. When you are called to testify, please state your name and affiliation or residence and limit your comments to a few minutes to ensure that all comments and concerns can be heard. Or two, you can email your written testimony to the committee at ccc.wm@boston.gov. Or three, submit a 2-minute video of your testimony through the form on our website. For more information on the City Council budget process and how to testify, please visit the City Council's budget website at boston.gov/council-budget. Today's hearing is on dockets number 0670 through 0672. Orders for the FY25 operating, including annual appropriations for departmental operations, for the school department, and for the other post-employment benefits. Docket number 0673 through 0675. Orders for capital fund transfer appropriations. And docket number 0676 through 0678. Orders for the capital budget, including loan orders and lease purchase agreements. These matters were sponsored by Mayor Michelle Wu and referred to the committee on April 10, 2024. The focus of this hearing will be to discuss the FY25 budget for Boston Public Schools and will highlight curriculum, hub schools, career and college pathways, voc tech, and safety. Today, I'm joined by my council colleagues in order of arrival: Councilor Flynn, Councilor Murphy, the Vice Chair of the committee, Vice Chair Pepin, Councilor Santana, Council President Louis Jen, Councilor Braden, Councilor Mejia, Councilor Fitzgerald, and Councilor Coletta. I would like to now introduce today's panelists testifying on behalf of the administration. The CFO of Boston Public Schools, CFO Bloom, Secondary Superintendent for College, Career, and Life Readiness, Superintendent Lombardi, Chief of Teaching and Learning, Chief Miller, and Chief of Safety Services, Chief Coakley-Grice. The floor is now yours.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having us today. We appreciate your time. My name is Leslie Ryan Miller. I'm the Chief of Teaching and Learning for Boston Public Schools. Alongside me are my colleagues, and today we'll be presenting an overview of our budget allocations for various educational programs and personnel positions in the Division of Academics. These allocations are designed to enhance our multi-tiered system of supports and ensure equitable access to learning for all of our students in Boston, with a specific focus on supporting multilingual learners and students with special needs. I won't spend much time on this slide, but we opened with this in our previous hearings around the high-quality student experience. The BPS Opportunity Gap policy states every student in every classroom in every school has the same opportunity to achieve the greatness within them as anybody else. Every child must have unfettered access to every conceivable resource to unlock the greatness within them. With that vision in mind, we present to you the Academics Division funding priorities for FY25. Those priorities include increased access to grade-level content through professional learning, targeted supports for students, and high-quality instructional materials, expanded inclusive learning opportunities, including access to bilingual education, cultivating, retaining, and supporting our diverse educators and school leaders, coordination and support for the Community Hub School strategy, and expand access to multiple pathways for high school students to provide smooth transitions to higher education and workplace settings. So to start with access to grade level learning and MTSS supports. First, we've allocated $1.8 million to deploy 14 equitable literacy coaches who provide vital job-embedded support to our teachers in equitable literacy, which fosters the literacy skills among our students across content and disciplines using research-based evidence practices. Additionally, we've allocated $2.7 million to fund 24 reading specialists who work directly with students to provide student-facing interventions that complement instructional work and positions happening at schools. To address one of the points made by Counselor Fitzgerald at yesterday's hearing, we also have a district accommodation plan, referred to as the DCAP. The DCAP is a framework to establish a process to ensure that all efforts have been made to meet students' needs in regular education. The DCAP outlines the baseline universal offerings and expectations that create conditions for equitable literacy and student access. This can include evidence and research-based interventions on platforms that students have access to both at school and during out-of-school time. In the prior hearing, Counselor Mejia asked, what is an area of work that we're proud of? I can unequivocally say, as the Chief of Teaching and Learning, that there are many. But one that we've made a significant investment in is high-quality instructional materials. And we've already seen progress in terms of our teachers' practice that are using these high-quality instructional materials in their classroom. We predominantly used ESSER funding for that investment, totaling almost $2.2 million, which was a great one-time expense for those ESSER funds. These investments are explicitly aligned to our Tier 1 instructional expectations, which we have also shared with schools. High-quality materials and aligned professional learning help to ensure that all students have access to research-based, standards-aligned grade-level content. And as a result of this work, again, we've seen a 26% increase in curriculum alignment to grade-level standards. Our commitment to professional development is also evident as we have documented 18,000 hours of completed professional learning by our teachers and paraprofessionals, alongside 2,200 instructional walkthroughs conducted just this school year, with 622 of them happening in our pre-K through 2 classrooms and 1,578 happening in our grade 3 through 12 classrooms. This supports our work towards continuous improvement with our instructional practices. As shared at the hearing yesterday, inclusive education is a cornerstone of our approach, and we're sustaining 8 inclusive positions as part of our regional model that support the professional growth of educators and sustainability of school systems that support inclusive education. Related to student services and addressing diverse needs of our students, $434,000 has been allocated to sustain 4.8 FTE that are student-facing service providers, including psychologists, ensuring that every student receive the support that they need to thrive academically and emotionally. Certainly there are more positions, but these are just some that we have been able to sustain in this budget. Through the ESSER Carry Forward program, we're also investing $635,000 in our school leader pipeline program and $410,000 in new school leader development, alongside $225,000 $225,000 in non-personnel funding to support unique school needs within various regions that also foster leadership and innovation. Recognizing the importance of data-driven decision-making, would like to invest $700,000 in the Office of Data and Accountability personnel to support dashboards for data transparency. Additionally, $400,000 has been allocated for language acquisition assessment, ensuring that our assessments accurately reflect the linguistic diversity and instructional areas for growth of our student population. There's a slide here. Sorry, I forgot to advance the slides. Just doing that. Finally, as was also brought up in yesterday's hearing, the district is addressing critical needs such as recruitment support with a position, one FTE position, which will support the recruitment of educators with special education licensure as well as bilingual staff. Additionally, we're exploring the inclusion of a specialist position to cultivate bilingual pipelines for our paraprofessionals, teachers, and special education staff. In conclusion, our budget allocations reflect our commitment to providing equitable access to a high-quality education for all students. By investing in MTSS supports, inclusive education, and student services, as well as leadership development, data transparency, and addressing critical needs, we're continuing to lay the foundation for student success and academic excellence. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your presentation. Now I go to my council colleagues in order of arrival, starting with Councilor Flynn. You now have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the administration team that's here. We're also able to talk about public safety related issues in the BPS schools. And thank you. Just want to start off by seeing how we're doing providing a safe and healthy school for every student. What's the current status of safety in our schools?
Good afternoon, Councilor. Great to see you as always.
You too. It's good to see you.
So the status of our safety in our schools is, I'm going to go back. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was at the Council of Great City Schools presenting on our model of safety in an effect of the three kind of layered effect based on recommendations from the Council of Great City Schools and the DESE report that came out a little more than a year ago. We have increased our safety numbers to the recommended numbers. We ended up hiring an additional 25 safety specialists for our school-based positions. We also acquired the former street worker program, repurposed, rebranded them into our community connection coordinator positions. And we also have increased our emergency management team from 1 to 5. And what that means for the city, and what I mean by this layered effect, is now we have our safety specialists, which were the former police roles, but still honing in that expertise, that familiarity that was consistent with that role, that school-based positions. Couple that with the community connection coordinators, which is our regional model, 2 community connectors in each region. And then we have our emergency management team, which is a district-wide. In presenting to the Council of Great City Schools a couple of weeks ago, that is, really an evolutionary model that a number of districts are looking at, because it really speaks to our holistic way of dealing with safety and security, now not less the punitive way. Still having our support with our school engagement unit, which is the Boston police officers that work very collaboratively with us within our office, being responsive to school-specific incidences. To be totally transparent, we're still working on our MOU with BPD, but we're operating as a formal process, like we've done for decades now, sir.
Thank you. What impact does a school in their social media policy have on public safety challenges, whether it's an individual school social media policy or a BPS policy on social media, and maybe kind of talking about anti-bullying as well? Yeah, thank you.
No, that's great question. Social media, unfortunately, is impacting the country. The access to information and the credibility of information for young people is really paramount in some of the discussions that we're having in collaboration with other school districts. If we look at our reports and tallying them throughout the year, those reports specifically have gone up. I can't equate that just to the number of incidents increasing, but I'm going to probably equate it just to the reporting of those incidences increasing. I think that that's probably a caveat to a number of incidences that we're having in the streets that are carrying over into the schools. Our policy remains consistent with the district. It's a district-wide policy, not a school-wide policy, and we work collaboratively with our Succeed Boston. I think you heard from them maybe yesterday or earlier this morning.
Are the numbers of incidents, physical incidents between student and student, have they gone down, have they gone up over the last year?
They run in parallel to last year since after COVID, once young people came back into school, and then the access of everyone having computers. I think that kind of incited a lot of the connection on social media, but our policy hasn't changed with respect to that. Some particular schools have different practices as far as putting phones away. We're looking at some technology as a result of that as well. We're still vetting it. There's a lot of opportunity for anonymous reporting platforms, social media regulating platforms, but we're still in the evaluation process of that.
I was reading a report recently where it was a high school outside of Massachusetts implemented a no cell phone policy for high school students, or maybe it was grade school students. And the results have been remarkable in terms of no physical issues, no anti-bullying issues, or limited, and there was no harassment of student on student. But is this something that BPS might look at?
I think we're looking at a number of different options. A lot of those policies work well in smaller districts, Councilman. I think us being a larger district, if you looked at what happened even yesterday, more recently in Lynn, I think some of the pushback from some of the parents in the community was the fact that young people did not have their phones and they weren't able to, communicate. I think we have a tremendous relationship in partnership with our comms, our communications, that we notify immediately of incidences, preliminarily what's going on, and then we follow up with more details. I think that's probably one of the best practices for most districts. I think we can still evaluate other options.
Well, thank you, Chief, and just want to acknowledge the important and professional work that you've done for the residents of Boston for many years. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Council Flynn. Council Murphy, you now have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the cell phone, thank you for asking those questions, Councilor Flynn. But even just this morning, I was walking my dog, and my son said, "Mom, you don't have your cell phone." I said, "I know, that's fine. I'm walking around the block." We never had cell phones growing up, but there is this connection, right? So to take them away completely, because I do hear from students who are concerned, that they can't communicate. So it's a fine line you have to walk on the safety issue. So happy to be part of that conversation with you, knowing that there is no probably one right answer, but how do we get to it? Because there definitely is social, emotional concerns also about the social media. And seeing oftentimes, even schools or groups of communities have their own like Instagram pages or social media pages, so we're seeing things before even principals or teachers are knowing something's going on. So I know you're working on it, but maybe if there's something we can do to help, or in the communication out, I do hear from families sometimes that they feel that, because they're hearing so soon, like, what is the actual amount of time a school has to send an email, even if all the information isn't there? You did say a preliminary one to kind of calm everyone and give what you do know, but then maybe there needs to be a follow-up. But what is the actual protocol that, and it seems like principals can't pick and choose, it's a system-wide decision, is that true?
It is. Comms is not here, but I mean, just in partnership and collaboration with them on a daily basis, Counselor, if we have a safe mode, which is when we shelter in place, pretty much for lack of a better word, we notify the communication that goes out to that school, and if there has to be one for the whole district, that goes out immediately, maybe not as detailed in the information, just the fact that we are in safe mode. And then soon thereafter, within consultation with a number of people weigh into that. That includes the school leaders, that may include BPS and whomever else that incident may affect. That information goes out as expeditiously as possible with accuracy.
Yeah, that's important. Okay, thank you. On the special ed concern, I've gotten calls, and I know I filed for a hearing, hopefully we will have it soon, but about our youngest learners, and it's wonderful that we're opening more seats for our universal pre-K seats. What is the protocol for our students? Some are already in early intervention, so we know when they take a UPK seat, but many of them probably are already guaranteed a K0 seat. Can they choose a UPK seat? And then what I've been hearing from teachers or programs that are hosting them, and also parents directly, that if their child is identified with a special need but they're in a seat, that there isn't place somewhere else. So what are we doing about that?
That's a great question, Counselor Murphy, and I'm going to ask our interim executive director of early childhood, Tiara Diaz, who is also serving as a UPK director within the Office of Teaching and Learning.
Thank you.
And possibly Chief Seal would like to respond. I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Awesome. So our center-based programs offer speech, OT, and behavior health supports. We use the child find screening to determine whether those supports will be needed. Sorry, coming down the steps, I lost my breath. In the case that we cannot provide the services, then we would work with BPS to ensure the child is transferred into a BPS school. In the meantime, what we do is ensure that we utilize our speech, our OT, and our behavior health to provide those supports, and then offer those compensatory services through BPS.
Right. So on paper, that sounds good. The concerns are that when people called, they were in a meeting, and they were like, well, there's no room. That they weren't going to find space for them in a BPS classroom in a school. So they would have to physically move out of that UPK program to make sure that they did receive the services they need. So is there, because I know in K0 we don't fill our classrooms at the beginning, because as children turn 3, we have to have space for them to enter. And in this case now it's like an extra level of students who are in that range where there aren't many K0 and K1 seats open. And then it's a union issue and a grievance of over class size. And so how are we dealing with that when families are being told, well, there isn't space?
And I'm going to have Kay jump in, but one thing I wanted to mention was we have seen an increase in services needed. And just a quick note, the enrollment platform is really going to help us better identify and understand the needs of our children across both the centers and BPS, because we'll now have this one system to keep track of the needs. But the other thing I wanted to mention is students come to us with IEPs, and then they have services identified. Mm-hmm. So, you can enroll, two different. So you can have a student be in the program with IEP services, or an IEP plan rather, but then you can have a child that you identify in like February or March. And so I think what you're mentioning are some of the challenges.
Latter. It's more when they know. Yeah.
They
find out while they're in the year. And the teachers identify.
Thank you for that question, and I think that is a a situation that we're also looking at very closely. We are partnering with UPK in regarding to building capacity for students who do need inclusion services. As my colleague stated, we are providing related services in UPK, but through the Child Find process, we're evaluating students. Like you mentioned, we've had a huge increase of students. As of February, we're up to over 300 students that we have evaluated to determine eligibility for, and we do have some students that are awaiting seats. And in that process, as a matter of fact, we've reached out to our families, and we've offered like Saturday program, as well as looking at compensatory services for extended school years. And we're working closely with our district leadership team in order to address the capacity of those students and making sure that they get their services as soon as possible.
I mean, it's an unintended consequence, but legally, we have to provide them the full services.
Absolutely.
We can't just say, hey, can you come on Saturday? So I do think we have to think as we continue to bring in our youngest learners. I was a kindergarten teacher for many years, and most students are identified in kindergarten. It's their first time in a setting where a teacher notices or they're around peers, so it's easier to tell if there's any delays. So we do have to accommodate our families. So how are we making sure that we're not breaking the law?
Absolutely. We are working closely, and the superintendent did state also when we met yesterday the fact that as a result of the pandemic, we've had a huge increase of students, especially our early childhood kiddos that have been found eligible, and we're working closely with our school-based team to make sure that this does not continue to be a challenge for next year, but in the interim, we are obligated to provide services. And for all of those students who are not receiving services currently, we are in the process of developing compensatory services for those students as well.
Is there a percentage? Because this will be part of the inclusion concern too, because if more and more classrooms have a larger percentage of special ed students.
So currently, the K0, K1 students, that is a combination of students that are in need of applied behavioral analysis services, as well as a very small percentage of our students who are waiting for also inclusion placements as well. But with the increase in our K0, K1 for school year 24-25, we anticipate that this will no longer be a problem.
Okay, we'll be watching. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
that. Appreciate it.
Vice Chair Peppin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Again, thank you to the panelists from BPS for being here today. My first question is regarding career and college pathways. About a few weeks ago, I had the opportunity of touring another course to college, which is a high school in my district. Great school, great staff. I was able to get a tour and understanding of what's happening in that school. I would like to know, are there any new investments going into that school specifically? And the reason why I'm asking is because I also recently saw that this school is one of the schools that is not considered feasible for BPS. So I just want to know, what's the future of another course to college?
Sure, I can take that one. Thank you for the question. There's sort of two sides to this. As far as the future of the school in terms of feasibility is, that's not really the work that me and my office does, but we can certainly talk about the programming. And there is an inherent struggle with a school like ACC because of its size. And so a lot of the programming that we do is based around cohorts of students. So typically, if you take one of our larger high schools, say in East Boston High School, for example, with enrollment of around 1,300 students, those are graduating cohorts of over 300 students, which allows us to offer multiple CTE pathways, a lot of AP coursework, an early college pathway, which they'll be launching next year, number of programming. At ACC, or schools that are that size or in that area, it's far more difficult because of the cohort size. So while we're able to offer AP coursework, we're usually not able to offer a full cohort of, say, an early college pathway or a CTE pathway. So what we're endeavoring to do there is work with DESE and work with the state designation process to see if we can combine some of the pathways across schools in the future, which is something that's been difficult to do at state level previously. But you have a school like New Mission right next door that has a number of early college pathways, some opportunities for sharing. So that's sort of how the portfolio could work with smaller schools and larger schools, but it is an inherent challenge with the school that size to land programming there.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know, just because I know that the vice principal there, which is very very proud of just the work that they're doing. So I just wanted to make sure that they feel supported going forward.
Yeah, they do incredible stuff there, for sure.
Yes, seriously. So thank you for that. And in regards to hub schools, I was looking at your website. It says that students learn a curriculum that honors and reflects their cultures and backgrounds. I believe that the Mattapan School is one of these schools, and it's a gem in Mattapan, in my district. Are there plans to expand hub schools? And also, what is an example of a curriculum that reflects culture? Like, what is a class that does that in the schools?
So I can start with the curriculum question, and then I can pass it over to Chief Bloom around hub schools specifically. So this is really what our equitable literacy initiative is about. It is really the intersection of research-based, standard-aligned, evidence-based curriculum practices and culturally responsive teaching. So one analogy I like to use, my team's heard me say it a million times, Dr. Beverly Daniel Tatum says, when you see a picture, what's the first thing that you look for in the picture? It's usually yourself. And if you see yourself in the picture and you're looking good, you'll probably put that picture up. You'll put it in an album. If you see a picture of yourself and you don't feel like you're looking good, you're not looking at that picture. And so that is really where we strive to get with our curriculum, having the evidence-based curriculum practices, but also curriculum where all of our students can see themselves in the curriculum, but not just see themselves in it, but see themselves looking good. So that is really the foundation of equitable literacy and our goal of having high-quality instructional materials in every single classroom across every single subject and discipline. One of the things specifically about the Mattapan that Chief Gamere spoke about yesterday was just the fact that that school now has a dual language program, and there's curriculum that is in Haitian Creole, where children are both learning in Haitian Creole and in English. So that is also another key point in some of our dual language schools, making sure that they have curriculum in that home language.
And you talk about equitable literacy. Something that the chair actually talks about a lot is financial literacy. I would love to know that is financial literacy part of what a hub school is, specifically for the older age children, to make sure that, I'm thinking about how to open up a bank account, what is the importance of a credit score, how to put a down payment on a future home, how to potentially invest. I think that those are lessons that are very important that I actually did not learn in school, and I'm learning it now as an adult. But I would love to know if that is part of the process, or can it be implemented into what a hub school is?
So absolutely, and not just implemented in our hub schools, but in all of our schools. So I wouldn't say financial literacy is currently a course offering in every school, but we certainly have, and I can get you that data if you give me just a couple of minutes. We have financial literacy classes in many of our middle schools, and especially in many of our high schools. We partner with EverFi and, and Junior Achievement. And they provide many of the financial literacy courses. Also, through some of our dual enrollment classes with colleges, there are financial literacy options available to students.
That's great. Thank you for that. I'll definitely wait for those those results. And then, how much time do I have?
2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Oh, that's not bad. So, given the rise of ChatGPT, I know that probably there are students out there that are using it. I think it's the future. You can type into your laptop, write me a 5-page essay on the city council here and on the BPS budget. Who knows what the results are going to be, but that exists. What initiatives or programming are we using to dissuade students from using that kind of system and to monitor? Just because I do think that impacts the quality of education in our schools.
Sure. So to be fully transparent, we're really in the information gathering, just looking at other districts, what policies they might have in place. I do think in time we're going to need to put a policy before the school committee that addresses artificial intelligence and how our students use it. One of the things we've talked about amongst colleagues is how do we use AI or support students' use of AI in a responsible way, but also not using in ways that are irresponsible. And so we're really doing some information gathering to figure out what our next steps are in terms of policy creation.
Yeah, I think that as proactive as we can be, I think the better we can get ahead of this. I mean, I'm all for AI, and I believe that a resource like ChatGPT can be used appropriately, just knowing that there's a limit to it at our schools. And then my last question for now is regarding something you mentioned in your presentation. Said that there's about $647,000 going into sustaining 8 community health coordinators and expanding it to six different schools. Do you know which schools those are, and why did you decide those specific schools?
Sure. So I'm going to pass that to our chief.
So first off, my apologies. So Dr. Linda Chen wanted to be here to answer some of these hub school questions. She's unfortunately recovering from a relatively minor surgical procedure. She'll be back for the next hearing in May and we'll also be happy to give you more detailed answers than I can give you as CFO in the process. But the notes I do have, so we leveraged some ESSER funds for our hub school pilot, and we're then transitioning those resources onto operating funds. Right now we're in discussions with the BTU and community partners to determine exactly which schools are going to be the next 6 to go.
Okay, and do you know what criteria they're using?
I don't, but we can definitely get you something in writing for sure.
Thank you for that. That's it for me, though.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Just want to acknowledge that we also been joined by my council colleagues, Council Weber and Council Fernandez-Anderson. Councilor Santana, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon to the administration, and thank you for being here. I'll jump right into my questions. I really care about bilingual education. Me, myself, being bilingual, I've had the opportunity to visit many high schools and middle schools, and have seen a lot of our bilingual students active in our classroom. So, Chief, I don't know if you want to take this one, but could you elaborate on how the budget prioritizes expanding inclusive learning opportunities, especially when in regards to our bilingual education, and what measures are in place to ensure equitable access to this?
So that's a great question, Councilor Santana, and I'm going to also ask that Chief Gamir come, as she really is leading that initiative, although we do plan very cross-functionally in terms of the curriculum and supports that schools need when they add a bilingual program. One of the things I can talk about while she's coming down to the podium is it's not a challenge, but something we have to think very critically about are the materials that we use in the bilingual programs, making sure that they are still high-quality instructional materials, that they provide standards access to all students, and grade-level appropriate content. So one of the things that has changed in Boston Public Schools really just over the last couple of years is we don't do remedial learning. And so all students, as they're learning a language, even whether it's in their home language or in a language that they're learning, everyone's expected to have grade level instructional materials in front of them and be exposed to grade level content. And I'll pass it to Chief Gamir.
Thank you, Chief Miller. And thank you very much, Councilmember Santana, for the question. So it is very important for our students who are in dual language programs or bilingual education programs for them to have equitable access to the content, because the standards and the accountability for the students are still the same. So I know that I use Mattahunt often as a example, but that's the closest example that I've had, the most recent example I've had. So as we rolled out the curriculum for the dual language program, we were very intentional in ensuring that the students that were enrolled in the dual language program have that same equitable access to the curriculum, that high quality instructional material and the rigor that their monolingual peers had. And so that also gives the teachers an opportunity as they're planning, even though they're delivering the content in another language, but the planning is intentional for the students. And so those students with the accountability that they have, meaning MCAS, MAP, for the content is there. So for that, we're able to see that the students make great gains or sometimes even higher gains than their monolingual peers.
Great. Thank you so much, Chief. Appreciate
welcome.
it. My next question is, in terms of cultivating diverse educators and school leaders, what strategies are being implemented to recruit, and not just recruit, but really retain the staff that we currently have, individuals from underrepresented backgrounds? And I know this has been something that I think all workforces struggle with, right? But I think we're seeing, in particular with new migrants, and we really want to make sure that our teachers and our administrators are reflective of the students that we have and that are attending schools. Would like any comments on that?
I'll certainly take a crack at it. I think Chief Canty will be back on May 23rd to talk to some of this in more detail, but I think there's a number of different...
I can go to a different question. We can go back.
There's a number of different initiatives that we can get you information on, for sure.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Can you provide some more insight on how the budget supports the community hubs? Well, actually, this question, Councilor Pepin asked, so I'll skip that one as well. This is more in regards to our high school and higher education. How does the budget address the need for multiple pathways for high school students, ensuring smooth transitions to higher education and the workforce, and what innovative approaches are being considered to achieve this goal? And I just want to reference this by, college is not, obviously it's a pathway, it's a great pathway. I went to college, and I had a great experience. It's not the option for everyone, and it shouldn't be. And I want to make sure when it comes to the incredible jobs that we have out there in the workforce, when it comes to vocational schools, that our BPS schools and our BPS students have access to this. So we'd like to hear not just an overall of what we're doing, but what does it look like in practice on an everyday level, especially with our juniors and seniors.
Sure. And Councilor Santana, you said, the overall piece, you said it better than I could. I think the idea that we work under in the secondary schools office is exactly what you said, that college is not the outcome for everyone, but that giving students multiple pathways and multiple possible outcomes is exactly what we are trying to do within our pathway space. So we've seen over the last 5 years really clear data that students are enrolled in one of our pathways, whether it's CTE, early college, innovation pathways, they graduate at a much higher rate than students that are not enrolled in a pathway. And so we've taken that as our charge to grow our pathways portfolio in BPS, which is what we've been doing in an incredibly arduous way over the past 2 years. And we're starting to see some of the early data, but it takes a couple of years to get students into your new pathways. You go through a year of planning to get a designation, and then an initial year where students are onboarded in either 9th grade for CTE programs or 10th grade for early college. So you start to see the outcomes of that in the next couple of years. But what we've done, I'll use the early college space as an example. A few years ago, we only had really two schools that had early college footprints. As of next year, we'll have 8 schools and 15 distinct early college pathways across the district, including our first pathway dedicated to multilingual learners at Brighton High School. And what those pathways are meant to do is not necessarily just pave one road to college, but give students a jump on the college coursework. But we've also invested heavily in career-connected early college, as well as new CTE programs that include some advanced coursework as well, so that students have a decision point as they get into junior and senior year, and they can start legitimately thinking about, do I want to go right into higher ed, maybe full-time? Do I want to go into the workforce? Or do I want to do some combination of the two? Right, so just a quick example, in a health assisting pathway, most of our health assisting pathways end the CNA certification for students. They can work with that right away and get a pretty good job as a CNA at 18, 19 years old, but also maybe start working on their Bachelor of Science in Nursing to go toward an RN or toward medical school or toward whatever, something else in the medical field. That's the kind of outcome we're trying to build across our portfolio of schools.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Chief. So my time up, Mr. Chair?
Yes, but you have time for one more. I'll give you one more.
Just and thank you for that thoughtful response. On BHA, I'm very passionate about our BHA students. There's obviously, I think most of our students on BPS are coming from BHA, or a large percentage. Can you speak to the relationship that you all have with BHA? If there's any communication happening between BPS and BHA, and then what resources are being offered, in particular with technology and internet access to our BHA students?
Okay, the last part may be the part I'm least prepared to answer, so maybe I'll come back to you on that one. But we're partnering with BHA on a number of initiatives, from housing homeless students that we were talking about earlier, to working with students who are already in BHA housing. So one of the things we work with BHA to do is identify students based on sort of geographic proximity to school, sort of what neighborhoods are students living in through BHA, and then really focusing on the outside of the school day opportunities, right? So what sort of after school extended learning after school opportunities might be available, what enrichment opportunities might be available, especially because we know BHA has space, like physical space that's available for a lot of those opportunities, so it can be actually provided right where our students live, as opposed to them having to do like a second transition after school to another program. So I don't know that it's a fully developed, fully fleshed out program yet, but that's what we're collaborating with BHA on, and it's been a really productive partnership.
Great. Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Council Santana. Council President Louis Jen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you again to BPS for being here and for all of the work that you do. I love the fact that we're exploring outdoor learning, and I believe it was about a $750,000 investment into outdoor learning. If you could expound a little bit more about what that entails. I've had the pleasure of visiting a number of schools, Fenway High being one of them, where they're working on like the outdoor gardens, which I think is really phenomenal if we're able to incorporate into a lot of our education, especially just in general, but like not only helping our kids grow a love for the outdoors, but also the urban agriculture that we're trying to push forward here in the city. So if you could talk a little bit more about that, that would be great. I believe it was a $700,000 investment. I had it somewhere.
Yeah, so that's primarily work to continue things that were piloted on ESSER. So just from the budget perspective, obviously, I'm not an expert on the programming side, but
is that enough to cover what was piloted under ESSER?
Yes, it's the full cost of the pilot under ESSER, continuing it.
Okay.
Moving over, yeah.
And and so no programs as a result had to be cut?
No, there's some funding that didn't need to be continued because it was for the buying of the physical stuff that we don't need to buy for the first time anymore, but all the continuing costs are budgeted.
Okay, great. My next question is for Chief Coakley. Guys, thank you for being here with us. I'm wondering if you could talk about, I filed a hearing order here to talk about the dismantling of SOAR, which was our street outreach program, and we know that for BPS, some of that moved into BPS with CCC, the Community Connections Coordinator. Can you talk a little bit about the work that CCC is doing and how we're supporting interventions and how that's functioning within BPS?
Great question. Yes, we rebranded the SOAR program into the Community Connections Coordinators about the end of August. Initially, we had 20 individuals that came over, interviewed from the original members, gave them first preference, first right of refusal, for lack of a better word. We ended up taking all of them from those 20 positions. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, because a lot of them left, going on to bigger, better opportunities. I think this the model that we created for them to really be that community connection coordinator role inspired a lot of other community partners, which was wonderful. Their role right now, as I spoke to earlier, is based on a regional model. It's a staggered shift. We have 2 individuals within each region that is broken up from a day shift from 7:30 to 3:30, and then from 3:30 to 7, just to really meet young people where they are and offer guidance.
Is that within a school building, or is that out?
Within the school building, after-school programs. And we are working on, as we evolve, we're still infants. I'm working right now on consistency and accountability. With that, we're working on how we can form a relationship with the youth programs, with what's the other outside children's families. What's the other program? I can't forget.
Not Youth Connect.
No, not Youth Connect. I'm sorry. The other programs that are within the communities, the community-based programs. Some of our members left to become directors of those programs, and so we're working on how we can work collaboratively with them to be more preventive. So far, so good. It's really, right now, Each community connector is connecting with 100% of the schools in their region. We also have created a team that kind of is our emergency response for different scenarios that we've had and incidents that we've had in the school. They respond to that and offer support on a tier-level response. We just had a couple of incidences last week, and their incorporation and their familiarity with the community, with the young people was just amazing. As you spoke earlier about how you want the representation to look like our students, that's exactly what we have. Those individuals come with decades of experience, hands-on experience in the community, and to bring all that wealth to BPS has just been amazing.
So there are 20 people who work in CCC, and they're all
Originally we had
new into
20.
BPS.
Originally we had 20. Right now we're at 13, but we're going to be filling for those backfilled positions.
And can you describe the regions? What are they? And is it mostly, is it high school? Is it middle school? Is it everyone?
Encompass. So the regions are 9 regions for BPS, and that consists of elementary, middle schools, and high schools. So
Okay.
each one has a plethora of different school environments.
Great. I want to just, hopefully maybe we can have you and CCC and just then CCC folks at the hearing, because I think one of the things that I really care about, and then I know a lot of my colleagues really care about, is that prevention and how are we interacting with young people before problems start. And I think that there is money allocated as incredible potential, but we're not working in deep partnership with the youth organizations, with the folks who are themselves just as involved, who I think are part of the solution. And so I'd love to sort of dive a little bit deeper into the work that's being done. I think SOAR had a number of issues, but I do think the idea, and we've had a lot of successes over the years in terms of bringing violence down, and I think a lot of the work we need to do on the front end is about the work of prevention before things become problems, especially for our young boys, especially for our young Black and brown boys. And so I'd love to, when we have this hearing, make sure that we have you present and we have that folks, the community connection coordinators present, so we can sort of further strategize how we do that work of prevention. So.
No, absolutely. I think their initial model was designed for intervention and prevention, which is, with our model with the safety specialists, and now with the layered effect of our emergency management team, it's a wonderful correlation of the three.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And I think this is also, when I filed this hearing order, it's also thinking about how our nonprofits are working when we talk about really building a network in our schools. Like, for example, I brought this example up a lot last year. Over at Young Achievers in Mattapan, they were experiencing a lot of issues of violence last year, but they also was a school that had no guidance counselors. They were a school that had no partnerships with outside, with Mattapan Teen Center, which was like right around the corner. And so I think we sort of need to be thinking holistically, and I think that this could be an opportunity for us to do that.
No, absolutely. The model was created exactly for that. And what I was looking for was the youth centers. We've lost a couple of community connecting coordinators to directors of the youth centers because they really saw the foresight in what their role was and how that could be a broader role in collaboration with BPS. So big things to come.
Thank you. The next questions are for Superintendent Lombardi. I was at Madison Park a few weeks ago, and it was a You Grow Girl event that some folks were putting together, and they were, there are lots of really great vocations already at Madison Park. There's an incredible energy to do deeper investments. How do we add additional vocations? For example, I was there, it was hair braiding, there was fashion, there were all these things that they were trying to expose the young girls to that they're already naturally exposed to right now in society and social media, where we could have the next, fashion designer. How do we add additional, as we strengthen Madison Park, how do we add additional vocations?
Yeah, so we are exactly in the process of doing that right now as we go through the process for the new building at Madison Park. And there's sort of two things happening at once. There will be programming there that does not exist now. There also may be some consolidation of programming as well, which is there are a lot of related pathways within Madison Park that, depending on workforce need and depending on student interest, may make sense to consolidate so that we can open up new programming. So we have been working very closely with Madison Park leadership, with the city, with folks here in City Hall as we think about the building and what we need to build the building for, because in a vocational high school, there are many requirements for building for particular shops. When you think about auto, and you think about cosmetology, and you think about sort of the vast needs, and even in the existing program. So we are in the process right now of refining exactly what that footprint should look like, whether that means a change of programming or just straight addition to programming. That's exactly the process we're in right now.
Thank you. And Councillor Pepin asked at a hearing, and I kind of asked it again a bit today, and I don't want this to take away from, I think, like I was in, Madison Park there's so much space and potential with the build of it right now that is being completely underutilized. I don't want to take away from what it could look like to deepen investments in Madison Park, but to look at also what vocational education looks like at other schools. Now the pathways, like where does that stand? Like what are we doing? How are we thinking about vocational education in other schools outside of Madison Park? Where does that live? How does it exist? I don't know about it outside of Madison Park, so I'd love to sort of get a lay of the land in terms of what it looks like outside of that.
Yeah, there's a pretty large footprint of CTE programming outside of Madison Park. We have a number of Chapter 74.
East Boston High that you were talking about.
So East Boston actually has a number of pathways. There are 5 pathways there. They're what we call non-Chapter 74, so they're not state designated pathways. Mm-hmm. But they have a pretty big footprint of pathways with 6. English High School has 5 pathways. There are a number of pathways around the district. BAA has 2. Boston Green Academy. EMK has the health assisting pathway. Mm-hmm. We just put in a BAA of fashion design. They have fashion design. We just put in TV radio production as a new pathway there. So that is part of our pathways build out that I was referencing before. Is not just early college and Career Connect early college, but CTE pathways as well across the district. But we want to make sure we also want to make sure we're not taking away from Madison Park as we do that, right? So that it's important that we balance the workforce needs and the student interest needs across the district so that we can serve the entire district with that program.
Right, and again, emphasizing and underlining, especially as we're re-envisioning Madison Park and really trying to put a lot of our eggs into building that into a high quality voc tech school like Blue Hills, like that people compete competitively for. Mr. Chair, is my time up?
It is, but you have one more question?
No, I will respect your time. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you. Council Braden, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you all again. Back for another round. Let's see. Inclusion. I'm just curious, looking at the number of job openings and positions, over 300 with 200 posted since March. I'm just wondering when I'm looking at this, all these job postings, and then also looking at the contracted services from the historic from the past year, the number of staffing agencies in Georgia and God knows where who are providing services in our schools. I just wonder how, and doing a traveling therapist or ABA specialist or whomever, a very expensive way to go. I just don't, I'm trying to figure out how are we going to cover the needs of our students and our special ed students who need specialized therapies in an inclusion space when we're going to, I think it's a good idea, but I'm really concerned about how we're going to implement it, because one of the things I know from working in special ed myself is when you have a team of people who work together every day, we're reinforcing the learning that the child has from, we're working on language skills in PT, we're working on fine motor skills in the classroom. All of it sort of intermeshes, but if you have a lot of sort of traveling therapists coming in and out, how does that work?
Our number one goal is to hire people internally to do the work versus using contracted services. A lot of our contracts are in place to ensure that we have a backstop, right? If sometimes it's even as simple as someone going on a parental leave or something else, to be able to provide coverage as needed. So our goal, first and foremost, is to provide those services. I think also, to get back to a previous comment, this is a little bit when we're talking about the size of school we need and scale, it's challenging to have a full-time occupational therapist, let's say, in a school that has 100 students, because you just might not see enough need for that therapist to be in the building all day. Whereas if a school has 400 or 500 students, they likely have an occupational therapist who's there full-time, working across the school with the different needs. And so I think as we think about, sort of mergers and consolidation and thinking about the schools we need sort of to build the system we want, I think it's exactly what you're talking about, making sure we have those dedicated staff in the building who really know the students and families and provide the services we need. But in the meantime, we need these contracts to be the backstop.
So philosophically, are you thinking about a push-in model or a pull-out model in terms of therapeutic spaces for therapies? Like a lot of students, if they've got if they've got attention deficit problems or whatever, they need a quiet space to go and work on stuff.
All right. So, Chief Thiel, let me try this, Chief, and then you can come correct me if I get it wrong. Because I've been talking to Chief Thiel a lot through the budget process because it's so much on special ed, so I'm practicing my own professional development and learning. So I think first and foremost, what we would say is, that determination is going to be made by the IEP team and what's written in the child's IEP. So if the services are able to be pushed in, I think often that's the goal of trying to, leave the student in the classroom to be able to get their services. But like you said, there are many services that it might not make sense to try and do speech therapy, for example, embedded in a classroom with lots of other kids and noise and other things going on. It might make more sense to pull out and do that in a small group or individually, sort of outside the classroom setting. So I think that would be my first chance. How did I do, Chief? I did okay? Okay.
You did okay.
All right.
Horace Mann School for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, I consider it a regional school. I think we should all talk about it as a regional school. It serves 22 schools, more than 22, maybe, school districts in this area.
For sure.
It's the first in the country public school for deaf education. I'm just wondering how many students we have across the system that are deaf and hard of hearing in Boston, never mind out of district. And then how much tuition does Horace Mann bring in from out-of-district tuition fees?
I can certainly get that number for you.
Yeah, because, it is probably the only school in the district that's generating revenue from Boston Public Schools.
Yeah.
Presuming we actually build them. But
we do. My team builds them, I can promise you that.
Okay. Then hub schools. I love the hub school model. I think the Gardner Pilot Academy in Alston is an award-winning hub school. It's been evolved over 30 years. It's an incredible record of serving a diverse school community, very, very focused on anti-racist and inclusion and really, really incredible work with families and communities. So, I think when it works well, it's a great model. So how many hub schools do we have in the Boston system?
So I believe there are 8 right now and 6 more in planning.
And then one of the things that is key to the success at Gardner Pilot was the fact that we have incredible partnerships with local non-profits.
For sure.
We've very incredible adult education program for parents. Partnerships with the YMCA and all sorts of non-profits who are sort of in the immediate area. What do you see as how do we scale that up? Because I think, given the needs, the incredible needs of our students, and also the fact that we're going to a full inclusion model, like a hub school model for everybody is probably the way to go.
Yeah, I think we're trying to take a deliberate approach to it because, as you said, it's a network. It's not a single thing, right?
It's a community. You're building a community,
right?
And as we found out during COVID, the schools that had a strong community and a network of support actually did better than the schools that were fractured and were all over the place.
Yeah, we're definitely committed to continuing to expand the program.
Then I had a question earlier about early intervention and the 0 to 3-year-olds. I think Councillor Murphy already referenced some of this, but how many students? Let's call them children.
Yeah.
How many children we have? In the 0 to 3 block that, and they're not necessarily BPS, they're not BPS students, they're been served by BPS because they're
Who've been identified through early intervention.
identified through early intervention. How many do we have?
I think we'll probably get back to you very
Okay,
shortly.
that's good. Yeah, and I think my time's up already.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Mejia, the floor is yours.
Hey, how are y'all? Thank you for being here, and thank you for your work. It is appreciated. So I just have a few questions. I want to start off with some of the questions that I asked earlier in regards to some of the safety concerns, specifically with parents who have been incredibly upset about the lack of response when they are trying to report issues of bullying and things of that nature. And when they get to campus, they're met with resistance, right? And I'm curious, what, if any, opportunities exist, Chief? And I know this is one of the reasons why I'm so excited that you are in this position, because you're always looking to innovate. But what would it look like to create some programming that is designed specifically to help parents be peer mediators, to be conflict resolution experts? And what would that look like? Because if we are the problem, then we could also be invited in to be part of the solution. And I'm curious, under your leadership and in collaboration with the Family Engagement and Parent University, let's reimagine what safety response can look like.
Absolutely, fantastic. I'm definitely open. I think that that's one of the opportunities we can have with the community connecting coordinators. A lot of them are an older experience, have relationships. I can say, I don't have the definitive numbers, but I can actually look back. But since we've created those roles, I can say that the relationship with parents with respects to safety services response to incidences has decreased. And when we've had them interjected in those scenarios, they are less intense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely it does. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I would rather someone who I can relate to greeting me at the door and de-escalating me than, other folks. So,
And plus the relationship that I think that those positions, coupled with their our increased staff with the safety specialists, the school-based roles, and then the emergency management team actually being out there, and their objective is to be more interventive and not just reactive. That their visit and their first encounter is not just on a responsive mode. I think that again creates relationships. I'm also working with some nonprofits, just really evaluating nonprofits. We've had a successful relationship with Girls Leaps. We have a successful relationship with Big Sisters, looking at them creating a model of mentoring to support and train our staff to we can be adequately and through that national model be able to work well with parents.
yeah, no, I appreciate all your effort, and I think the short time that you've been there, we've seen the difference in terms of impact. And every time there's been an incident that I've arrived to on the scene, you have been there. And it really goes to show your level of commitment, because you're really showing up in community in ways that make people feel seen. So I just want to say thank you for your leadership, and I don't throw out a lot of compliments, so if I'm saying it, I mean it. So thank you for your work in that space. I would like to switch over a little bit to talk a little bit about from college and career and readiness and all that good stuff. So our office has been super intentional about working to develop pipelines. So we created a mental health and wellness ambassadors program at the Burke, and those young people were trained as mental health ambassadors. And then based on what they learned, then they were able to identify triggers in their peers and then connect their peers to the support services that they needed. And this was all right after a lot of the violence was an uptick at the Burke. Now, we created that program, and we partnered up with nonprofit organizations and Black clinicians to run that program. And now we're in our third year, our second year at the Burke, and the first year we did it citywide with a number of different schools. So this is definitely a model that everybody's always talking about. We need more people of color in positions like this to be here. And I think that there is something to be said that, again, going back to the statement that I made earlier this morning, is that we always find ourselves having to outsource and resource a lot of the initiatives that we know are going to make an impact. And BPS, with your millions of thousands of dollars that you have, especially around community hub schools, there is an opportunity to support a lot of these nonprofit organizations that can open up their doors to serve as apprentice learning opportunities for young people to work in these nonprofit organizations to apply a skill. So I'm just curious about how you're leveraging the ecosystem that is around our schools to support the career readiness for our students.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the hub schools piece, I think Dr. Chen will have to answer when she's here. As far as the programming that we do, it certainly falls in the category of the health programming that we are pushing, right? As a hub of healthcare in the country, healthcare is our biggest set of pathways across the district. It is the designations for pathways in sort of social work and mental health really aren't there in the same way that health assisting and medical assisting and dental assisting, the things that Madison Park and other schools offer are. So we'd have to think more about building that up.
But we can, because we
yes.
have a lot of institutions here. BU, they have a school of social work. No, I mean, and they never pay their pilot taxes, and that's a whole different hearing. But there is an opportunity for BPS to hold these universities to task, to create meaningful pathway opportunities and develop relationships, because we have been working with Boston Day and Evening Academy. We've worked with BATA. We've worked with all of these alternative ed schools. And our role in those spaces have been to leverage our network to create opportunities for those schools to have meaningful partnerships. So, and especially because mental health is it's going to be the next pandemic that we see here. We have to get ahead of the curve. And even though it doesn't exist, there's an opportunity for us to create it. And I'd love to be able to work with you on doing just that. And I think that is where we need to go.
Yeah. We'd love to do that, and we need our large university and college partners to do that with. So 100% right.
And I'll be fighting with you. I'm not done. I have not heard my little timer. Okay. So I'm curious about, our office has also been working with the homes. They have done an amazing job. Shout out to Principal Odom for her leadership. We were working in partnership. They secured $1 million to restore their park. They're developing relationships with all of the local businesses and nonprofits that exist right within the radius of that school. There is something magical happening at the homes that I think everyone should go and look and see and learn how this principal has brought so much joy into a neighborhood, into a school that has been completely disregarded for so many decades. And if you haven't been there, you are missing out on what innovation looks like. So I just want to put that on your radar. And she needs all the support to make sure that she can continue to thrive. So I want to give a shout out to Principal Odom for her work in leadership. And lastly, BPS, I have two concerns, because it's not a hearing unless I throw out some concerns, y'all. So I'm really concerned about the uptick on, and yes, violence is down, but I've been hearing from a lot of parents around bullying issues and restraint, like students being restrained in ways that are forceful. And Chief, I know that may not be under your jurisdiction, but it is a concern that I have within Boston Public Schools. And so I'm not sure who here can speak to that, but that is definitely something that I feel needs to be addressed, and I'm curious who here can talk to me about that. And I'm not going to look at the chief because it doesn't fall under her jurisdiction. I'm looking at you, Bloom. Yeah?
I will figure out who the right person to talk about restraint policies.
Yeah, not just the uptick in how young people are being manhandled in our Boston Public Schools.
Okay. I will get you.
Yeah, and then the last thing that I wanted to bring is that we talked about BPS graduation rates. I'm curious, it's one thing to get us out of high school, I want to know what our success rate is from college. How many of our BPS students are actually completing college, all 4 years? Do we have that data?
We don't have full data. We have some survey data that Success Boston does, and we have some National Clearinghouse data. It's not a full picture because it's hard to track all students after they leave. So we do send out surveys, particularly for students in our pathway programming. All of our CTE students get a one-year survey, career and technical, vocational pathway. So we do have some data. I will get you what we have from that, so you have the data that we have.
And what's pathways?
So if you're in a career and technical pathway, you would graduate with a certification.
But what about those who are not?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. We have some pieces of that, but it is once students leave BPS, we're reliant on survey data, on who returns survey data for what we have.
And have other districts managed to know who and how? Because I hear a lot of other schools talk about our kids graduated high school and 4 years of college. So some folks are able to gather that. I just think that I'm really excited to see 81% of our students graduating, which is great. And I got to see the list of some of the usual suspects in the schools that are highlighted, but we're still failing others, right? And then I do believe that, if we're going to keep asking for billions of dollars, then we're going to have to show that return on that investment, and ultimately how our kids do once they leave our schools also speaks to our ability to educate our students.
Thank you, Councilman Hay. And I just want to give a big shout out to Principal Odom, who's doing great work right in the district. And I agree with Councilman Hay, like whatever that school needs, please let's get it over to her, because she's really inspiring a whole neighborhood, a whole community. And not only other people, but the civic groups want to do as much as possible. We was over there. I know we painted the whole school for the young people, and that was, something that Principal Odom brought to the community. And in terms of the data that Councilman here is looking for, does DESE collect this information on terms of graduation rate, salaries for our district?
So graduation rate data we have. That we have year on year.
For higher ed.
There are many versions of post-secondary data that have variable rates of reliability because of who they're able to access. Right. So there is some data out. That's sort of there's an ecosystem of data that I can collect for you so that you all have it. You have what we have, but I wouldn't say that it's a completely exhaustive. We don't have data on every single student that's graduated.
Right, but there's some point of
yes, there are points. Yes, there are.
All right, and can we make sure we get that information for Councilman here?
Could I just weigh in and say also to give Principal Odom a shout out? She has made incredible gains in terms of student achievement. And a lot of that has to do with the culture that she's built, but also she's a true instructional leader and has really honed in on the use of high quality instructional materials with no excuses with her staff, which is amazing. And then just to your question about restraint training, safety care training, that really falls under student services with Chief Seal, but we've also been talking a lot around how we get that professional learning to all of our educators. One of the things that's a real challenge is the competing needs for professional learning for teachers. And so how we ensure that we have the right amount of time to make sure that our educators have the training.
Yeah, and I know my time was up, but I wanted to speak to that really quick, is that it's also how it's the type of training that we are providing educators and how they speak to our children, and we also have to start leading with asset-based language where our students are not vulnerable, they're resilient, right? So we have to, there's a whole mind shift that needs to happen so that you can really see and affirm our children in ways that they feel loved.
That's right.
Thank you. Councilor Fitzgerald, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate it. Thank you, administration, for coming. I'll jump down to my third question only because it carries off of what we were just talking about around principals. Councilor Santana talked about how do we retain and attract and retain staff. And Councilman here and the chair were just discussing how important a principal can be to a culture of a school and turning it around. I've heard other examples, the Orenberger in West Roxbury as well, of a place where new principals come in and really sort of change the culture. and a school that you would be unsure about sending your kid to now a school that you would want to send your kid to, right? So around that principal talk is how do we identify who these principals are prior to them being principals, right? How do you identify, train, and retain them? I know that some take a class at Boston College. I think there's like a principal course, but you don't necessarily have to have any teaching experience to take that course and to be a principal. Obviously, and maybe a little bias here, but having worked in the building and then moving up to becoming a leadership position, I think it helps. And so how do you sort of see, what are we doing to identify the teachers we currently have at BPS and how to properly train them so that they can instill that culture and turn these other schools around that need some help?
So Chief Canty will be here on the 23rd. What I will say sometimes, I don't know, to use an analogy that I probably shouldn't use, it's a little bit like the NFL coaching tree.
Yeah.
It's what you often see sometimes is you have really great long-term principals, and then like 5 years later, all of a sudden you start to hear about all the principals from at other schools who were teachers under that first amazing principal, right? And so a lot of the work is identifying for the programs that you mentioned, and there's another program through UMass Boston that's being launched right now. There are lots of things going on. Identifying staff who work in the building and say, look, you have a great principal. Hopefully your building's job never opens, but you're an amazing teacher, administrator, something else. Let's make sure you're ready to be a principal, and you can go the next time there's turnover in our neighborhood or across town, you can go be the principal of that building. And so you can see there are these sort of really strong schools that, and with long-term leaders, they're sort of throwing off these amazing principals who came through those buildings.
And
to sort of build on that.
And just to clarify, it doesn't mean they have to become from that specific school.
No.
I mean, I just mean identifying anyone in BPS as a
Totally.
teacher that can then go on to become a principal, and how do we identify that? But I will save that question then for Ms. Canty. Yes, thank you. So I went up to see, as you all know, or if you don't, I have two of my sons are at BPS school. I went up to see the principal several months ago just to talk. And she said, we can't meet in my office because there is a young lady student sitting in there and she refuses to leave. She was getting into a fight in the hallway. This is a safety question. She's getting in a fight in the hallway. They said, why don't you take a break, do your test in the principal's office, and then refuse to leave. So we had to go meet in a closet down the hall. It was fine. We got the conversation done. But we talked about that situation and how there was a safety officer there, a principal there, a teacher there, and they're all standing around the desk, and maybe 2 or 3 other people, and they're all looking at each other and saying, what can you do? Nothing. What can you do? Nothing. They know where their limits are, right? And that their hands are tied. And so it gets to a point where these kids understand where the limits are for their authority, the authoritative figures around them, and then they know once they know what that limit is, they know what they can do beyond it and have no consequences come of it. So I guess what I'm asking about in terms of accountability, what do we do in situations like that when a student puts the teachers and staff in a position where they know they have if they're following protocol, they have nothing to fall back on and cannot do anything but let this student stay in school, he could have just, they could have, who knows what they could have just done, whatever it may be, but they could have traumatized a kid prior, and now they're just sent back to class and sit right next to the kid he just traumatized. These are sort of things that I've heard and experienced. Not to mention, as soon as I left that principal's office that day, there was another fight where around an hour after I left, blood was drawn, and there was some 4th grade kids that saw it and were traumatized by it. And none of that was also ever described to the parents, right? I mean, we found that out secondhand, and that communication, BPS does a great job with communication about a number of things. But transparency around safety and letting kids know if they're going to a school that's sort of heading down that road of, hey, there's a lot of physical violent incidences here. I don't think they're as transparent. So, sorry, long story, but what can we do when we're in that situation, and how can we be more transparent about those incidents that occur?
Maybe I'll take the portion of it.
And then I'll take the second.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So a portion of it is just, I think what we've leaded toward is just more of a holistic approach in using all of our resources. So safety service works collaboratively with student support. Student support is, the social workers and guidance counselors. We also have clinicians that work in the buildings with us. Sometimes it just takes some extra patience, and I would rather have them, stand around, unfortunately for lack of a better word, and support that student as he or she is deregulated, and then later offer some other resources. That's why I keep going back to the community connectors position, because now that position can be called in and maybe work extra with that young person after school, help support the parents, and maybe some extra support that they may need for that student. But as we evolve into, a less punitive discipline for our young people, that may involve a lot more time and patience.
I just want to caution a less punitive approach and allowing for more patience when what we've seen is people withdraw from the school and say, and they sort of say, we're not going to put up with it, and we're not being told about it even, and so I don't want my child in that environment, and there's trust broken there, as well as we know sometimes without any further discipline that the actions continue, right? And it disrupts the school and the education, the setting, and those who are there to actually learn. And I'll just leave it at that. The last question I had was around curriculum. IM, I believe it's called, right? Illustrative math, as I understand it. Is that a curriculum that's coming into BPS, or does it exist there already?
It absolutely does. So that's a great question, and that is an example of high-quality instructional materials. It's highly rated through the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and incorporates evidence-based practices. I'll have to get you the numbers around how many of our schools currently use illustrative math, but I can tell you that we have 49 schools that are going to be new adopters next year. Right. And so our focus is really on the professional learning that our teachers need to implement the curriculum with fidelity, because that's when we see the student outcomes that we're hoping for. It has to be implemented as designed.
Okay. I would just caution there that from what I've heard of illustrative math as a program itself is that it is not as helpful or conducive to ELL or special ed children, and that what you actually get, most teachers, and I know my wife is a teacher and doing this, is you have to go to Teachers for Teachers, and they're looking for a lot of things on there to supplement this curriculum because they feel that they are not sufficiently supported through the IM that was given there. So okay. I would be wary of that curriculum going forward, and I would love to know any results of other schools that have had it and what we've seen come out of that.
Sure. So we are seeing some really positive results from schools like the Adams, which was one of the first adopters of illustrative math. One of the things this speaks to is that next year there will be 12 hours of mandatory professional learning for all teachers. And we're really approaching that professional learning as starting with the curriculum. So as a teacher using IM, well, let me back up a little bit and say the days of asking our teachers to go to a professional learning session in teaching and learning, and then one in the Office of Multilingual Learners, and then one with Student Services, those days are over. Our teachers have a lot on their plates, and we're really working hard to work cross-functionally to have a one-stop shop. So that 12 hours of mandatory PD are facilitated by teaching and learning, Student Services, and multilingual learners. And we're starting at the point of really looking at the curriculum, and then when you have a young person in front of you that may have particular needs, how do you internalize that lesson so that you can make instructional decisions for that young person in real time? That's going to be wildly important, especially as we move to more inclusive classrooms, and our students, their needs will be increasingly differentiated. And so we need to know how the curriculum meets those students' needs.
Thank you. I know my time is up, but I hope we're not doing it because it was the cheapest curriculum, or right,
Oh, no.
the lowest, of the investment we're making in BPS, I hope the curriculum is one of the heaviest aside from staff.
I can guarantee you, Counselor Fitzgerald, it's not the cheapest.
I appreciate that. No, it's good to know. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Councilor Fitzgerald. And I know there were some questions in the RFI. Like we asked for a school-by-school safety plan. We haven't received those yet, so hoping that we can get those.
I'm sorry.
School-by-school safety plan?
That's not public information. The school-by-school safety plan is a district policy. Everyone has a safety plan.
Okay, are we not allowed to see the school-by?
Yeah, that would be, we could talk offline on that one. If there's some specific questions around the safety plan, that wouldn't be public information.
All right. Is that in terms of like the cameras and the locations of that? Or, well, we could talk offline.
Yeah.
All right. And then also, how are we tracking how well the new curriculum is working? And can we just get the data on, the new outcomes and the improvements that we're seeing from the new curriculum?
Sure. Many of the new curriculum are really in their first or second year of implementation. Okay. That being said, we can look at map data, which is really a screener, so we don't like to use it as summative data, but it does give us some insight into how our students are doing in real time, and then certainly MCAS data. So I can pull just some of the data we've looked at initially and share it with this group.
Perfect. Councilor Weber, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. I guess I'll start with Chief Coakley-Grice. So what role does restorative justice have in our school safety plans?
So that's under student support as well. Succeed Boston runs our Department of Restorative Justice, but we've adopted that process when I first came over as a chief of safety services, just coming over from Boston Police, started thinking about how the less punitive, more holistic way of dealing with discipline, having our code of conduct as our operational manual, first line. So most of my staff, because I haven't had a new staff recently, and we're looking at this summer training the additional staff, but probably about 75 to 80% of my staff have been trained in restorative justice, the restorative justice model, and we've participated in our initiative for BPS, transformational mentoring, which is which they use the restorative justice model with that as well. We sit on a number of the school safety, when you talk about the school safety plans, a part of that is they do the restorative practices, and a number of my safety specialists sit on the safety teams within schools in which they practice restorative justice model.
So I mean, so the idea is to have school safety officers or police officers doing restorative justice?
Safety specialists. We support schools in doing that restorative practices, along with our restorative justice team that it operates out of Succeed Boston, student support.
Okay, thanks. Dr. Lombardi, I have an 11th grader at the Boston Arts Academy. It's something in terms of college, prep. What kind of guidance counselors are provided district-wide, and what do you expect of them?
Sure. So we have school counselors at all of our BPS high schools. They provide a vast array of services. I think particular to your question, 11th grade, a lot of that work is related to postgraduate planning. We use a platform that is being pushed hard statewide called the MyCap, My Career in Academic Planning, through the Naviance platform, if you're familiar with that, if your child's used that at all. That's the foundation for what we do in terms of starting in 6th grade with that to help students identify areas of interest for them, potentially to help them select a high school as they move through the system, but then in the high school years to look at potential postgraduate options, potential colleges and universities, potential career options, and our school counselors are the basis of that in our schools, in short.
Yeah, I just as a BPS parent, I feel like when I was in 11th grade, I knew what colleges I had a chance of getting into, and so, but I don't think, I have no sense, and now especially as like the SAT scores, schools aren't using SATs anymore. I think we need more guidance than ever, and and it could just be my son doesn't know how to access the resources at school. But my advice would be to provide families, because the guidance counselors see kids going through the school and where they go. They have a lot of experience to be able to advise the kids and the families, what schools they should be looking at.
We have tried to universalize and systematize counseling a bit more district-wide so that experience is more predictable. You're right, the ecosystem is more complex than when, say, you or I were going through that process. And the SAT thing is a part of that in terms of what expectations are, but loud and clear.
Yeah, no, just at home the discussion is, well, he should apply to schools, and I say, well, which ones? And we really have no idea. He hasn't taken the SAT yet, and I don't even know what role that plays anymore. So I guess for Chief Miller, as a BPS parent, I've heard over the years, we struggle to have grade level appropriate materials for our kids. Can you just explain to me and other parents why that has been such an issue?
Sure. I don't necessarily know that I know the root cause of that. But I can tell you the importance of it. So certainly MCAS is just one predictor of how well our students fare. It's not the only predictor. But if it is a graduation requirement, and if it's a requirement of our students, we need to be giving them access to that information, which means they need to have access to the content that's going to be covered on that standardized exam, and just it's information they should have as they go into their adulthood and prepare for careers. So it's just critically important that we give all students access to that information, and regardless of where a student is academically, there are various interventions and ways that we can still use grade level curriculum with all of our students. I suppose maybe cost could have been an issue. Certainly, I'll tell you that as we're purchasing curriculum, it's incredible, the costs of these curriculum. And so one of the things that we really did to incentivize schools was that we used our ESSER funding to say to any school, if you're opting into high quality instructional materials, that means they're grade level appropriate now, we will pay for them for you. That means the digital platforms, the workbooks, whatever it is you need to get you started. I don't know if that was a barrier, but certainly we've had a lot of opt-ins since putting that option out there, along with the professional learning that goes with the curriculum. That's also critically important, because a lot of these curriculum, they're very dense. And the most powerful learning is really from teacher to teacher. So if I'm a first grade teacher and Ted's a first grade teacher, and we're both talking about how our students experience the lesson, we're doing lesson internalization protocols together, the chances of implementing that effectively are much higher, and that really serves our students well.
Well, okay, yeah, I'll just echo what I'm sure Councilor Braden is thinking. So we have a $1.5 billion budget. We should be able to provide kids with school books that are match their grades. So what's the status now? Are we all the way there? Do we have everything we need, or are we still need to get more stuff?
Sure. There are more schools that we're working with to opt into high quality instructional materials, but it's
how many more?
I don't have that data specifically, but I do have it, but I just need to go through a spreadsheet. I can certainly get that to you. But I have to say, it's not about for the schools now that are not using district-supported high-quality instructional materials, I don't think it's about the funding. I think that there are many times, especially in our secondary spaces, that there's curriculum that teachers are used to teaching and they want to teach. Let me give you an example. So I was at a high school the other day, and I was just giving the school some information about Study Sync, which is our high school ELA curriculum. And some of the teachers were a little bit hesitant because they said, oh, well, we use a play with our students that they absolutely love that was created by an author who is from Nubian Square. And so if I opt into Study Sync, does that mean I can't use this play? And that's not at all what that means. There's a way to do both of those things. So much of it is really just education with our teachers around opting into high quality instructional materials and what that means in terms of we expect teachers to know our students incredibly well, what they like, what they're adverse to, and so teachers do a good job of bringing that into the classroom, and a lot of times they feel that with a curriculum, it's just so stringent, and they can no longer bring in some of those resources that their students really enjoy, but that's not the case. So we're working really hard to show that there is a balance there.
Okay, yeah, thanks. I'd like to get some data on
Absolutely.
What's left. I don't know if I have one last question.
Yeah.
I guess, Chief Bloom, sorry. In terms of our contracts, I know this may not be just relevant to this panel, but in general, our outside contracts, what steps does BPS take to oversee our outside contractors and to make sure that we're contracting, that we have a diverse set of contractors, so it's a two-parter, how do we ensure diversity, and then what are we doing to oversee those contractors?
For sure. So it's a multi-step process for certain. So I would say we are really deeply connected with the city's supplier diversity efforts as well, trying to sort of partner with those. So what I would say is, a lot of our efforts right now are focused on food and contracts over $100,000, but also in just a lesser extent in the $10,000 to $100,000 range as well. What we're trying to do is make sure that all of our departments seeking contracts have looked through the city's portal and identified whether there are any local minority, women-owned, veteran-owned businesses that are available to provide the services, and have reached out to them to quotes or invited them to bid, whatever is most appropriate. And then in terms of the accountability measures and sort of following up on that contract, what I would say is there's sort of two pieces to that. The first is each sort of department has a contract owner, whoever is responsible for that contract, and so that person's responsible for what you might say is the performance metrics, right? So Chief Seal's team, to rudely pick on her, will be responsible for monitoring special education contracts to ensure the provider is providing the required services. What our team then monitors is the specifics that were in the contract and what were in the purchase order, which is then the next step of actually sending out to the supplier what we look to purchase, matching that against invoices, ensuring that we're being billed properly for the services that we contracted for and that we asked for in the purchase order, and that those are then paid in a timely fashion.
Just a quick follow. I mean, have you in the last couple of years stopped contracting with a contractor because you found they weren't performing?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I'd rather not go into any more specifics than that, but yes, there are a few contractors that we've had to stop working with over the last few years.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Fernandez Anderson, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There you go. Thank you. I guess, how does budget, my first question to you, and then we'll go into some of the programmatic questions. How does the budget, and I do apologize, I don't have my glasses, so when I look over there, I'm not looking at anyone. I can't see anybody. How does the budget prioritize the development and implementation of curriculum initiatives, considering the, it's 100,000, 100 million total expenditures earmarked for FY25 with 45 million and so from existing city capital authorization and 54 million and so specifically authorized for FY25.
Sorry, the 100 million was for what exactly?
Total expenditures earmarked. Oh, and by the way, that amount that I listed earlier was correct.
Okay.
I double checked.
Yeah, so I'll see what's going wrong on our side then about that, because that should not be what it's, that previous amount, we should correct that for you.
Okay, thank you. And while you're looking at numbers, I can just go on to my next question.
Please.
What are the strategies for investments allocated towards expanding the Community Hub Schools initiative from 14 to 20 sites, with an emphasis on enhancing student support and community engagement?
Yeah, so unfortunately, Dr. Chen isn't going to be able to be here today to give you the details of that. What I can say is our team is working deeply with community partners and with the BTU to sort of identify those next 6 sites and make sure that we get them up and running as soon as possible.
Okay. Regarding career and college pathways and vocational tech programs, how are the investments facilitating the creation of new partnerships with colleges and workplaces leveraging the $12.5 million allocated for FY25 programming?
So we have a lot of work happening in that area. We've, particular to industry, we've started a workforce advisory council where we're meeting with industry leaders and the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce in an effort to create more industry partnerships for our schools. A lot of the resources are really dedicated toward developing those pathways. Each pathway that we put in place goes through a state designation process, which helps down the road, because as you go through state designation processes, there is some state and federal funding, depending on the type of pathway that comes along with that once they get designated. So a lot of the resources that we have go towards startup of these pathways so we can get them designated, get them functional, get cohorts rolling through them, and that then they can receive the funding that you get through the designation process. So that's a lot of the work that we've done in the past couple of years to expand our programming drastically across the district, and what we're continuing to do this year.
I see. What would they be spending the money on?
So some of the money goes toward school-based early college or CTE directors, so programmatic staff at school level. I'm not sure exactly which budget line, so I might need Chief Bloom to jump in on some of this, but that's where the money allocated to the secondary office. We house some of the school-based staff that run those sets of programmings in our schools. So that's a lot of our output. We do have some resources allocated toward materials, particularly for our early college programming. So sometimes our Chromebooks are not enough for our students to be able to use on college campuses. So there's technology involved in those resources as well. But if you want to get sort of granular into lines, we can get some more data over line by line if that's helpful.
How many sites does that include?
So we have 8 high schools that have early college programming, 15 pathways total across those 8 sites. We have a number of, I can give you sort of a quick count. It's 12 schools that have some version of a career and technical education program. I will cross-reference that to make sure it's right. That's on a quick scan, including Madison, that has 20 programs within it. And some schools have multiple pathways as well. So East Boston has 6, English has 5. So a lot of it has to do with the size of the school as to how many pathways they have.
Thank you. I guess for programming across 8 sites, 12.5 million allocated. Does that sound about right to you?
No, that's not. I mean, that's not that 12.5. That 8 sites is particular to early college, and that's not our number for early college. So I'll need Chief Bloom to verify sort of what we're talking about numbers wise there.
Yeah, so I can give you a breakdown. So the 12.5 is
Next question, we'll come back again. What measures are being taken to ensure the safety of security of students and staff within BPS, considering allocated budget and any specific initiatives aimed for enhancing safety? Since we're adding money to enhance safety, what are we using it on and how are we doing that?
Okay, that's a big question. Right now, just to even go back to the question about the safety plans, 100% of our schools for 23-24 are in compliance with their safety plans, and there is a template that they update annually. Councilor Warren, I didn't want to leave your question unanswered with some type of public announcement.
Since they're completed 100%,
Yes.
this money doesn't go toward that, correct?
I'm not really understanding about.
There's no need to spend more money on updating the safety plan or compliance because the school, you just mentioned that they're all completed 100%. So I'm trying to just, like, by process of elimination, check off what we've already taken care of. I'm trying to understand what, if we're increasing money for safety, what does that entail?
I don't know if there was any increase of money for safety. There were increase in support for safety. So our increased budget this year included the community connection coordinators and also the increase in our emergency management team and also our build up back from the 50% of staff that we lost with the safety specialists after we transitioned over. So the increase came from the increased staff from those three components. That increased the level of our safety. As we talked earlier about the layered effect, now we have a school-based specialist, which was the former police officers that are school-based positions. We also have our community connector coordinators, which are our regional model of community support. And we also have our emergency management team, which was just one individual last year for a population of 50,000 students in 118 buildings. Now we have a really best practice model when it comes to operational emergency management team. We have one director and 4 assistant directors. That team is absolutely amazing. They represent over 100 years of experience in professional emergency management as well as academic experience, which license. And from my knowledge, we haven't been in compliance with that ever. With that 100% of safety plans, that now includes additional support, professional support in completing those safety plans. So how does that make us safe? That makes us safe in our response to incidents. That makes us safe in our partnership with additional collaborations. Like right now, we're working on our presentations for active shooters. If you've seen anything in the news recently, it's not as uncommon of monthly or weekly incidences. There's unfortunately daily incidences. I can say, right here that we are definitely in compliance with districts throughout the country when it comes to response and safety. I think our plan of a layered effect moves us to a more restorative, non-punitive response when it comes to responding to safety issues. And then we actually have the personnel that represents our community with respects to safety. So I think in all those different levels, that makes us a safe district.
I did visit your website thoroughly, and some of on the section that's safety services, if you go under student safety and emergencies, I think it could use the part about security and the managers that you're talking about and the services that supports that. It basically, I guess if this is speaking to parents, but if parents want to know and feel reassured that you are going to enhance your safety, I think that would be helpful.
Thank you, definitely will.
I think I was waiting for a response from you.
Sorry,
David.
yes. On the, I'm having trouble tracking down exactly which number you were referencing with the $100 million. Is there an account description or next to it?
I guess in terms of implementing of curriculum initiatives, you're listing a total of expenditures earmarked for FY25, and then there's existing capital authorization and specifics. And I was just going down the different amounts and how all of that budget was going to prioritize development and implementation of curriculum initiatives.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
But I think it was starting with a more general question.
Got it.
So my issues with curriculums, not issues, but what I would say, because I know my time is up, is that there are certain things that would complement your security, your safety, your mindfulness, and all of the stuff. And I think it's within the curriculum, especially with like upper or middle or high school. And you have opportunities to do more focused types of electives, like, emotional intelligence. And I've spoken with the superintendent on this in terms of looking into how to actually teach children, crisis management or problem-solving skills, communication skills. I'm just shocked that we still don't have that within our curriculum. I'm shocked that BPS doesn't have like financial literacy, I guess, based age-appropriate financial literacy all the way up to high school that really helps them to maturely prioritize their funds. A lot of our children work, right? And then we also know that the kids that work do better in school, at least within, I think this research shows something like 15 hours a week, that it actually complements their grade because of their prioritizing and implementation of executive functioning. I think some of the things that we're trying to teach kids within IEP, even if it's just a 504, a lower level type of plan, we're talking about just basic skills, executive functioning level type stuff that would really enhance any child's academic success. And so understanding that we have all of these issues, understanding that we have opportunity index schools with kids that come from backgrounds of trauma or disinvested communities, understanding that they're going into schools that are facilities that are disinvested, so not complementing a holistic education. It would behoove us to actually implement these core skill building within the curriculum. And since we're not doing that, then of course we're left to just hire like a whole bunch of aides and connectors and family engagement and parent this and social workers. And so we're not being preventative, we're treating a thing, which is, I understand, the Western way of reactionary medicine, but if we could actually look at the issue and look at it from a strength base, it would mean that trauma-informed would be preventative. It would be looking at social determinants of health in a way where you can actually implement some of these skills to address this skill building on a different level.
Yes, and so we do have financial literacy courses. I think one of the things is that it isn't, because it is not a core content, it means that students sometimes have to opt in, or it's not necessarily something every student gets. So
it's an elective, or is it a side project?
It sometimes is an elective. Most times it's an elective and not a core course. And we do have financial literacy in middle school and high school.
Is this relative school by school?
Yes, it is.
So some schools offer and some don't?
Yes.
I'd be interested to know which schools offer it.
Absolutely. Yep. I can get you the schools and the number of students that participate in the courses. Additionally, we do have social emotional curriculum. Actually, the Office of Health and Wellness, they just went through a vetting process, and we just procured SEL curriculum. Full transparency, Counselor Fernandez, one of the tough things is that finding time in the school day to do your ELA, your math, science, social studies, and then adding SEL. So one of the things that we do think about is when we're vetting curriculum, for instance, when we're looking at our ELA curriculum, our math curriculum, we do look at curriculum that addresses SEL. So for instance, in the math curriculum, there's a good part of it that's center-based or station-based. And so we want to make sure children have the social skills to rotate through a center when they're in the younger grades. And if they go to a center and it's full, what happens? Do you just throw a tantrum, or do you say, when you're done, I'd like to come to this center? So there's, all these pieces that some of that, not to the extent of the SEL curriculums that Health and Wellness has vetted, but there is some of that in our district-supported curriculum.
Thank you. Just want to wrap that thought, sorry. There's an opportunity here, again, to coordinate with city nonprofits and services to be able to bring all of this together, these cross sectors that you're talking about, in terms of job being good for students, in terms of the need for a job when you're coming from disinvested communities, in terms of kids needing to have these extracurricular classes, electives that support their mental health and well-being. Why not pay them for a job that they learned that after school?
Mm-hmm.
But, there's Success Link, there's all of these nonprofits that do this work, all of these mental health clinics that have to be connected. And meanwhile, we are creating a pipeline, aren't we? We're diagnosing kids left to right, because how many clinicians have to bill to pay their mortgage, so that, or how many Black kids do we have to diagnose so that they can pay their bills? And it's a vicious cycle, because it has to be a medical necessity. So then kid gets connected. You have to have a diagnosis that lives with you forever. And then it's a quick service that doesn't really pan out all the time. So we're not really paying attention. Everything is fast-paced. Curriculum is fast-paced. We're not really looking at how to be more intentional with kids, especially those who come with trauma.
Fair.
Thank you.
We have $13.4 million budgeted for instructional supplies and materials for next year across all funds.
13.
Yeah, 13.4 million.
Oh, that's actually more than what I mentioned. Okay, thank you. I was questioning the number, but I have to correct. It's not 12.5. Okay.
I might include some grant information in mine, so it could be that's the difference.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Durkin, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Chair. And I'm so sorry I've been in and out of here, but I wanted to shout out some of my favorite programs that, one is right across the street from my district, but I had the chance to visit the Strive program at Wentworth, which is a great vocational partnership between BPS and Wentworth, I'm so sorry. Brenda, who runs that program, is just incredible, and I'm really excited that they've, I brought my mug to represent my support of that program, but I know it's been going on for 30 years, and a lot of 18 to 22-year-olds are finding work after going through the program, and finding pathways like that for students is just so incredibly important, and finding partners like Wentworth who are doing this work is so important. Excited. Also was able to be at the launch of the EMK Academy for Health Careers, announcement of the partnership with Bloomberg Philanthropies, the $37.8 million partnership, and creating pathways with Mass General Brigham. Interestingly enough, I have MGH and I have the campus both in my district, since I have West End to Mission Hill. So excited to stay abreast of the updates there. Do you have an idea of when that program will, I know that we're doubling the capacity of the program, and there's an over 400 person wait list, but I was just curious sort of the timing and what that looks like.
Sure, I can take that one. So with the EMK Mass General Brigham partnership, the plan is to start increasing the size of the 9th grade class. That's how we would get to an increased number. The plan is to do that starting in September of 2025. so a little over a year from now.
Wonderful, and I think that program is great because it's providing an opportunity for students to gain real skills, real knowledge, and then having the partnership side of Mass General being willing to take those kids into their careers. It's just an incredible partnership, so I'm really excited about that. I feel like it has the ability to impact thousands of students. And the current profile of the school is like majority Black and Hispanic in high need, low income households. And I think we have a real opportunity to create a whole, I think a lot of people come to the hospital and they don't see people that look like them in roles that they should. And I think it's a really exciting moment to be able from 9th grade to career to get folks. So I'm excited about that and excited to support that program as I am the Wentworth Drive. So I hope that I get to see the growth of that program into its maturity. And also a huge fan of Boston Arts Academy and Boston Arts Academy Foundation. I'm actually on the end of the Capital Campaign cabinet, helping raise money for the Boston Arts Academy Foundation. So excited to hear about some of the vocational opportunities. Obviously we need increased investment in their STEAM program. And so hopefully that's something we can do in future years. But just curious, I know you mentioned, and sorry, are you director or?
Don't worry about it.
Oh, sorry.
I'm David.
David, yeah, so I wanted to.
CFO.
Yeah, I wanted to know sort of what the opportunities are for the vocation in the increased opportunities in the vocational space at Boston Arts Academy.
That's probably Ted.
Yeah, I can take that on for you, sure. So yeah, Boston Arts Academy has had a fashion design CTE pathway for a few years. They've added the TV, radio, media CTE strand as well. So they just got approval for that. It's a funny process. You actually have to start the programming in order to get approval in the designation. So the work is happening there already. But again, that's sort of part of our philosophy of how to move forward, is matching up this programming so that we can offer students this diversity of outcome, in terms of workforce, higher education, or some combination of the two, but matching up those pathways with the theme of the school, right? So you have a number of students at Boston Arts Academy, at least hopefully, are inherently interested in the arts and things related to the arts, and these pathways speak to that interest and hopefully are more engaging for them going forward.
Thank you. And with all the successes at Boston Arts Academy, there's a lot of excitement, but there's also, we have a world-class STEAM lab, and they teach Spanish in the STEAM lab. So we've got to get to a point where, the students have what they need, and that all of our public facilities are being used to their highest ability. And I know that the Boston Arts Academy Foundation is a huge partner there, and I'm hoping that, that together we'll be able to get that program up and running. And just wanted to ask a little bit about sort of your take on, because obviously Boston Arts Academy is a pilot school, what sort of unique opportunities exist within pilot schools to create vocational pathways and opportunities?
So, honestly, in our process, we put out every year to all of our schools the opportunity to at least start the discussion about adding new pathways to their school. We put out a district-wide, essentially internal RFP for schools to be able to show their interest in any of our types of pathways that we can support in their pursuit. So regardless of if they're pilot, horseman, charter, or none of those, all schools have the option to pursue that, and we will, we do the work on making sure it fits within our ecosystem of programming, but then our various offices help support in the development of those programs and the designation process.
Thank you so much. And while I only have one K-8 school in my district, it seems like maybe the place I can advocate the best as District 8's counselor is really for vocational pathways, given those three opportunities, the Wentworth Drive program, the Boston Arts Academy fashion design program, and the EMK Academy for Health Careers, which I'm really excited is in my district. So excited to work with you all. I know we have a unique opportunity to weigh in on the issues, problems, and collaborations with BPS, but we're not the final say on the budget. And so given our limited capacity, I really like to focus on like things I can really impact, which is oftentimes with a lot of the institutions in my district, making sure, I have over 26 of the 45 pilot eligible institutions are in District 8. So the path that I really see for my advocacy as District 8's counselor is to connect those institutions and opportunities with BPS. And I've really seen great collaboration with the superintendent, and I'm really grateful for her leadership and all of the leadership. I know that we're in a tough time to put all of this together with the ESSER funding leaving, and we're in a unique time, but I'm really grateful for the leadership of the superintendent, and I'm grateful for your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor Durkin. Just listen to my colleagues. We want BPS to, teach our students, CTE, culture curriculum, financial literacy, but there's not enough time in the day, right? So what are we doing to help coordinate those efforts with students, after-school programs, students, summer school programs? Are we tracking that information? Because we know the benefits that summer learning or summer activities or summer program has. We know the benefits of after-school program and after-school tutoring has. I used to hate it when I was in it, but every summer my parents sent me to like what felt like school, and it was school. I was at Northeastern's campus, Balfour Academy, and I'll rave about them, until I'm blue in the face. And there, like free SAT prep, tutoring on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It was exposure to college classrooms while I was in high school. It was showing me, what it was to be a college student. I took tennis, swam, even if I didn't get bad grades, my parents found a summer school to put me in. So are we tracking that data? Are we trying to make that more mandatory for our students, just understanding the data behind it, and also knowing that, our parents, we heard, a single mom here today that just spoke about how much it was on her to figure things out. So knowing that our students' families are, screaming for help, what are we doing to kind of help coordinate, what we know works best for our students, and also just, if each one of our students are doing well, we pay for it now instead of paying for it on the back end. So what are we doing to make that coordination happen?
Well, one thing I'll say is I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of us really leveraging out-of-school time, since we know that a lot of our families actually need care during out-of-school time. We have a plethora of partners, whether it's in the arts or mathematics support. There's a number of partners we engage with. I don't feel qualified to speak to this, but we certainly have the Office of Partnerships, which I rely on quite heavily just to see who's already a vendor or a partner in our system that we can leverage, as well as there's no shortage of partners reaching out around working with our students. Quite frankly, one of the challenges I have is really vetting those partners to make sure that we're putting a quality product in front of our students and our families. But that being said, the Office of Partnership School Partnerships is a great support. In terms of tracking the data, that's a tougher one. I would really want to talk to folks cross-functionally, but certainly students that are attending, well, let me give an example. Through our ESSER dollars, we have an initiative with outdoor classrooms, and so we have funding with City Connects, and I think it's Boston Grows, or I'll look up the exact title, but the exact name of the organization. But we've been able to bring some of those folks into our day-to-day programming with students. So we certainly have data on that. We also have a rites of passage that we have for all of our 7th graders, where they have the opportunity to go to Thompson Island or another retreat and have that overnight experience with their 7th grade colleagues. And so we also have data on that, which I can provide for you.
Right. I just think that we have to, I mean, my vision for BPS is just making sure that we're trying to influence, our students and families to participate more and trying to make sure that coordination is seamless to all these after-school programs and summer programs, because we just know the benefits of it, and it just increases outcomes and the trajectory of all of our students.
Sure.
CFO, can you talk to me about the line item for Voc Tech? Is that going up, down in this year's budget? And then while you're looking at that number, the school to career line item, what is that made up of? Like, what does that go towards?
So the school to career program code is a real mix of things. So I struggle to use that one to make a ton of meaning from our budget, because schools use that also in their own budgets to mean a variety of different things. So we have an Office of Career and Technical Education centrally that manages programming.
So I was looking, like, where is that on the budget?
Yeah, so it's if you look at our budget tables that we publish for school committee, we publish them out by our departments. So there is a department, the Office of Career and Technical Education. Their budget on the general fund is flat, essentially, for next year. But it's also only $1.2 million. Most of our career and technical education work, as you might imagine, happens in our schools, right, directly, and not in the central office, because, sort of logically there. So Madison Park is obviously our biggest single line item for vocational technical education programming.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So we'll see the increase on the school side opposed to the line item.
Yeah, mostly, because it's the central office line is mostly, that's mostly just the oversight component, right? Like Ted was describing, sort of supporting and managing the programs getting started up.
Got it. So are we able to get a school breakdown?
For sure.
A school by school budget breakdown?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, that would be helpful.
Of course. And also just quickly to answer a question from Councilor Braden earlier, we're up to 23 districts sending us kids to the Horace Mann, 42 total kids. Estimated accounts receivable for this year is just over $2.3 million. Huh? I know, we've been reviewing.
Wait, hold on.
All right. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Councilor Braden will have another shot.
I'm sorry.
Are MAP test results per grade per school publicly available?
You said math test?
MAP.
Oh, MAP. They're not public, no.
Okay. And is there a reason why we don't publicly share it by school?
Yeah, so I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to guess that because MAP is really a screener, and so we don't want to use it in the same way that we use MCAS for accountability, because we really use it to screen for child find and other things. But that being said, it is a good predictor in terms of how the adjustments we need to make to our teaching practice in real time.
Right. And then what is the district doing around literacy in years beyond grades 3 and 4?
That's a good question. So this is part of our multi-tiered supports. And so looking at a variety of interventions that we can provide to students. Some of those are through an interventionist and they're student facing. Some are on digital platforms. We have a number of digital platforms such as Lexia that are, again, evidence-based that can be used in a classroom. So maybe while a teacher is working with one group of students, a small group of students can be getting a double dose of, let's say, phonemic awareness through the digital platform. I think one of the things that's also very nice is that Also, they can be used at home during out-of-school time. So they can be used in the classroom, and then students know how to use their Clever ID to log in, and they can also log in at home with some of the platforms. So those are just a couple of the interventions. There's a number of different ones depending on if we're thinking about math or literacy. The only other thing I'll say is really supporting teacher development in thinking about what we call Tier 2 interventions. Those are interventions that a smaller subset of our students may need, and it's really about giving them a double dose so that they catch up, and how we do that without making sure that they haven't missed something. So for instance, let's say we want to give them a double dose of literacy instruction. We don't want to pull them out of literacy to do that, because then they're not getting the double dose. So scheduling can get tricky. Right. So there's also an aspect of this around school scheduling that's critically important and really complex.
Right. Which goes back to my whole thing is making sure that we're coordinating better with after school, summer programs. Yep. But yes, Council Braden, the floor is yours.
I'm still here. My voice is going. I'm just thinking about performance in one of your presentations this morning. I think about overview of the current, this is from our request for information that we sent in, current fiscal year performance measures, and it mentioned a 4-year unadjusted graduation rate and dropout rate from high school. Is that it? Is that what we're looking at in terms of outcomes, like performance outcomes? And said that, and then I says, in this upcoming, I don't know, I didn't ask this question, somebody else did. In this upcoming fiscal year, please provide a narrative explaining any proposed new measures or changes in the target levels of any existing performance measures. And BPS does not have new proposed performance measures. Like, what are our performance measures in terms of return on our investment?
I'll turn it over to my colleagues who know more about the performance measures, but I will say there's we have a challenge responding to in the official RFI, in that there are the official performance measures that are included year over year in the budget book, and that's what's there, and there aren't any new ones in that category. But then there's
are those these two?
Yeah, those are those two. Those are the official part of the city's budget book, part of the official RFI measures.
Yeah, we should be looking at more than that.
Yeah, we are. I promise we are looking at more than that. I'll let my colleagues speak a little bit more to the ones they're looking at. We have a much wider range of metrics we're looking at, both internally and with the school committee. And I think we have some continued coordination work to do with our partners here at the city of sort of what things we show and when. Because there's a balance of we want to be consistent with the same metrics we've shown every year, with wanting to also represent a wider range of things we're looking at. So,
and also, we always were measuring this like an MCAS assessment or something. It's just a snapshot in time, but it doesn't give a profile of the growth that the student has achieved over a period of time. I know that a few years ago there was some. One of our better schools in the Winship, they were demonstrating that their kids, but yeah, you started off a cohort came in first grade. It was a totally different cohort that left in fifth grade. So you had this experience of you weren't tracking, you were grading the school on the outcomes, but not tracking the student's growth. So the student was getting a bad grade, and this is going back a few years, getting a bad grade because it's this group of this in aggregate. You were looking at a group, but it wasn't the same group that came in the door in the first place. So it's like you switch the team halfway through the match, and they lose the game at the end of the match, and it doesn't necessarily reflect the great work that was done early on, or vice versa. You have a lot of students coming in third grade who are much further behind.
And this is a gripe I have, and I apologize for sitting with some of our official state level performance metrics and accountability. Is sort of if we get a 15-year-old who comes to the country without any high school education, who doesn't speak any English, they say to us, expectation is they graduate from high school in 4 years with the math core and fluency in English. And I think from our perspective, we want them to graduate with all of those things, but it might take a 5th year because they also have to take, required by the state, additional ESL classes and other things. Those are good things. But when you literally look at the amount of time that exists in a day, right, all of the things that a newcomer for high school might need means that there's just like no mathematical way for them to graduate from high school in 4 years. But that doesn't mean they're not being successful when they graduate in 5.
It also means that you have kids, depending on their experience of prior education, or even kids, like I've heard of kids coming from Guatemala. Spanish is not their first language. They have they have an indigenous language, and Spanish is their second language. And then they're coming to here, and you're trying to teach them English.
English is their third language.
It's their third language, and also just thinking about. You have students who come from a place and they've maybe had some formal education. Like I have a friend who's my age now, but he came from Cuba in the 1960s. He had some formal education. He was in a school where the Italian kids bridged to English for him. He got in, after a few years, he got into Boston Latin and graduated from Boston Latin.
Right.
But he was not an English speaker. He didn't have any English when he arrived.
Right.
So, it all depends on what level of formal education kids have before they even get here.
That's
so
right.
it's very complicated. But anyway, another thing, IEPs, how are we doing with, I know the DESE report said that there was insufficient, overdue and overdue IEPs from 25% sampled, 25% sampled, approximately 25 were overdue. In the Ed Plan, and that was in 2022, I think. How are we doing with the getting our IEPs all? Because we're moving, this inclusion business is going to really sharpen our tax here. How are we doing with our on-time IEPs?
I'm looking up at Chief Steele here. I think we might have to get back to you on the exact data on that, but we'll get it to you.
And I know I'm short on time. We've been very patient. It's been a very long day. Dropouts, I know that's one of the performance indicators.
Yes.
Are we doing any follow-ups with the young people who either are chronically absent or permanently absent? Like imagine a lot of students just didn't return after COVID. But what is it that we're not doing right to keep them in school or to engage them in a work sort of? And I know when we talk to folks in our high schools, like Brighton High School, we have a significant number, like a high percentage, considering students are working 30 hours a week to raise money for their families, to support their families. So what are we doing? And then any remedial actions that were being taken to try and offer night school or other sort of alternative school day options for them.
Yeah, so a couple of quick things. I think I'll try to get to each one of those. If I forget one, please ping me. But so let me start with the Re-Engagement Center, because I think that's the hub of our sort of work with our recent dropouts. We have, in the reconfiguration of the Re-Engagement Center at the beginning of last year, we added a position that specifically works with students who have already dropped out, reaching out, doing proactive reach out to those students, track them down. It's part of, we do the sort of large public door knocking event that happens at the beginning of every year. But that's work that happens every day in the Re-Engagement Center. Right? The door knocking event is sort of the big public reminder that we are doing this, but there's a specific position in the Re-Engagement Center that does that outreach. We've been able to engage a lot more students to come back, recognizing exactly the problem that you raised, Councilor Braden, that number has grown in the pandemic, and that students were, for a million reasons, not coming back to school. Who's not coming back to school fully in that sort of 2021-22 school year when we returned in person, and 22-23 when we returned sort of full-time in person. In terms of the night school option, so what I would say to that is there's a lot of one thing we are trying to do is further define, particularly our alternative ed schools, around the populations that they serve. So we've added just this year an evening school component to BATA, to Boston Adult Technical Academy, which serves a lot of our multilingual learners. Again, recognizing the exact thing that you raised, that our students often work a lot of hours to support themselves, support families, and so we need to be flexible with scheduling them as we move forward. So we've tried to add that as well, and be really responsive to that sort of work. And in addition to that, in a broader sense in our alt-ed space, add more career training as part of that experience, so that we have this year a new partnership with Youth Build Boston, where students can get the Youth Build work-based experience, but handle their academics within BPS, which is something new that we haven't been able to do before. So we're trying to meet that need in a few different ways.
I think that's particularly important for young men. But then the other issue is just literacy. Like, an outcome measure I'd be wondering is reading proficiency on graduation. I know that's not something but if you're not able to read proficiently, you're basically, it's very, very difficult to advance in your career and become more economically successful. Like, I'm not saying you can't be, because I know of people who are unable to read who have been very successful, but that's a huge burden to carry all your life and hide from people. I think the notion that you're falling behind your peers in your reading proficiency is a great disincentive to continue, and it's an embarrassment. So I don't know, like, I think I call it the moonshot that we should be thinking about, is making sure that our students are able to read and have adequate literacy skills to succeed. And especially those students who are maybe older, like in the 5th or 6th grade, who have fallen behind, and it just increasingly becomes more and more this demotivating is the word I'm looking for, to keep them up, to keep them engaged and keep them continue to grow. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm done, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Braden. I just have 2 quick questions. For vocational tech, are we offering programs through the summer? So, say if a student from, the Burke wants to take one of the courses that Madison has, right? Like, or any other school, like, is that an opportunity for students from other schools to take voc tech classes that are not offered in their school?
I don't believe that that's a specific summer learning offering for this summer.
Okay.
What we are trying to do to meet some of that need is through the new Future Boss system and the summer jobs program, is align more of the jobs with our existing programming, so that students can either get exposure to something that they don't have in their school or potentially want to go to in a school, or can further their knowledge in an existing pathway by going to a related summer job.
And does that go to also the students that are like in the 13th year program, like post-grads?
So it's a good question. I'm not sure in terms of eligibility. That is probably eligibility for individual jobs is where that lives.
Okay.
As far as the year 13 and being post-grad, I think it would depend on their age.
All right, thank you. Now we'll go to public testimony. When your name is called, please come down to one of the 2 podiums and state your name, neighborhood, and/or organization affiliation. Please speak into the microphone, and please keep your comments to 2 minutes. We'll have Monica.
Councilor Worrell, while Monica comes to the podium, I totally botched the name of one of our partners, Green City Growers and City Sprouts.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I was here yesterday, I'm back again. Just real quick, I just want to read something that I read off of, let's just say it's BPS's words. It says that BPS supports 50,000 students and that it reflects a continued focus on equitable recovery for students and parents. So after reading that, I just want to know, or I have a question. What I'm asking for my child, the support, it does not cost $1.33 billion. All I'm asking for is a tutor because she's out of school because BPS failed to keep her safe. I told you guys yesterday about the sexual misconduct in the school and the school hiding it and sweeping it under the rug. This is, again, week number 3 that my child is home, and I just want to reiterate the fact, again, that's all I'm asking for. There's been a lot of calls, there's been a lot of emails, a lot of back and forth, and frankly, I'm just drained. And I just have that one question that I keep asking the answer to, for an answer, and nobody can answer it. What I'm asking does not cost $1.33 billion. So after that statement was, being made that I read first about how you support and, naming numbers, 50,000, why is my child still home with no tutor, no work, no Chromebook? I don't understand why anybody cannot, answer that for me. And again, a lot of emails, calls, nobody wants to deal with me face to face. Literally, I'm getting texts while I'm sitting here from Miss Mejia, and she send me this, send me that, send me this. We talked yesterday. What more do I need to send you? When is somebody going to start answering my questions? At this point, I'm demanding that somebody answer why is her education only my concern. And while I have Miss Wu that I met with yesterday, Mayor Wu, saying on the news, speaking about BPS and the incident, saying that she needs to help, people are going to be held accountable. The only one held accountable at this point in time is my child. She's at home for week 3. I'm going to say that again. So the only one paying a price is my child. And all I see when I sit through these things and hear it, all this money, taxpayers' dollars that's being given, at the end of the day, y'all are profiting from poor people's pain. Who's going to give a shit about that? Who's actually going to care about that? We can sit and talk and make it sound fancy and make it sound good, but my child and me, we are living proof. This is why the school systems are so bad. Somebody got to do something about it. Money is not going to solve the problem. Money's not going to solve the problem here. Y'all need to clean house. Get rid of Mary Skipper and go on down the line and get people who actually care about the kids' educations, even if it's parents like me. That's what y'all need to do. Money can't solve this problem. People that care can solve the problem. Thank you for your time. And I really hope that somebody here today cares enough to not send an email and not want to keep talking to me, but to actually get to the bottom of the problem and get an answer and call me. 857-540-3119. Call me when you have an answer as to why my child is home when there's $1.33 billion and I'm not asking for a dollar of that. Thanks again.
Thank you. I want to thank the public testimony, and hopefully someone from BPS can connect with Monica. And just want to thank central staff, our Boston Police Department, my team, all my council colleagues, and thank you to the administration. This hearing on dockets number 0670 through 0678 is adjourned.